something that is not really part of my work, not something that I think about all that often, because I haven't thought about the uncanny much before, is how things that should feel strange or feel unsettling are sometimes, when you shift them a little bit, really generative and encouraging and not necessarily negative, but new possibilities for thinking in ways that are able to get us out of some of the really depressing and narrow ideas that we sometimes have about the way that humans define themselves. And so I'm really enjoying this opportunity to think about uncanny and some Freudian ideas that wouldn't necessarily have been part of my work in multi-species terms, in multiple terms of how humans might be able to reimagine themselves as creatures that don't exist in one knowable, controllable, singular world, but in ways that might be a little uncanny at first, might be a little uncertain and a little uncomfortable, but might also open up new ways of engaging with each other and with our environments that aren't predetermined by this idea that we're in control.
I find it really interesting to talk to people from the different disciplines, because they all come at it from such a different angle, and they've just got concepts that are so far apart from the way you might consider something. So your whole grooves about how you might think from your normal practice are actually actively undermined and repositioned and all that kind of thing, which is really exciting. And I was talking to Erica just now and she's coming from a microbiology background, and we were thinking about the idea of doppelgangers and the idea of compound selves, and we thought about doppelgangers always seem to be portrayed negatively, and actually we thought it would be quite interesting, wouldn't it, to what a doppelganger might be in a positive sense.
I think one of the really interesting things for me has been getting the chance to speak to other people about their version of what's uncanny, because it's such a subjective emotion or sensation or experience, and it's not all the same across different people. So that's been really enriching to my own idea of what's uncanny. And the other thing that I found really interesting is to consider how people from various different fields of particularly science and technology might be using notions of the uncanny in their work.
It's definitely made me think about things differently. It's made me think about, do I want to try and incorporate more creative elements into some of my research and maybe do something that might be a little bit more creative. I think it's also made me think about what is it about prosthetics, what is it about limbs that could be more uncanny, and whether or not some of those uncanny elements are involved in individuals' experiences, but they might not even recognise that they are uncanny.
It was interesting to come to Edinburgh to talk about the uncanny, since the uncanny is not really one of my main categories. And to realize that Freud didn't use the uncanny, he talked about the unheimlich, and that the uncanny and the unheimlich are not the same things. And that the choice of a Scottish word to render the translation of the uncanny for English readers by James Strachey, was a very strategic one. It makes a difference to the way the concept not only is translated, but the way in which the concept circulates. And one of the things that I was really struck by is the way in which the tension between the uncanny and the unheimlich, kind of foregrounds something about the ways that we know the world. And perhaps, the use of uncanniness as a translation for the unheimlich is a way of addressing an issue about how we know the world that does come from the Scottish tradition and from the Scottish Enlightenment. And it's kind of interesting to see those trajectories kind of intersect in one place at one time. That was kind of uncanny.